Oh, this whole list of questions are all wonderful, but I think I will talk about native plants, since I love native plants, and I hope that everybody gets a chance to see the lovely native plant garden that we have put out in front of the John Muir Historic Site. If I were a native plant, trying to think about which one I would like to be, and I think I would like to be a showy milkweed, because it is the larval food for the monarch butterfly. So even though the butterfly would eat me, it would turn in, I would help it turn into the caterpillar turn into this beautiful butterfly that then could fly down to Mexico for the winter. So I think that's what I would be.
My name is Paige, and I live in Concord, and I think the term environmentally green means like energy-wise, you need to be fuel efficient and planting a lot of plants, and that's what I think it means.
My name is Carmen Rivera, and I'm from Martinez.
And I'm Jose Rivera from Martinez. And this is our son Ezra Rivera from Martinez also.
And our question is about the beavers at Martinez, how we feel about it, and I think they should stay. I think they're bringing in a lot of needed tourism, or so-called tourism, and we just need a place to stay. And John Muir was about nature, and we are from Martinez, and John Muir was from Martinez. I think they really should stay there and just leave them alone and let them have their babies and just live free.
Hi, my name is Cindy Joy. I live in Martinez, and what kind of plant would I like to be when I grow up? I kind of like to be a poppy, because I believe California poppies are beautiful and bright and lovely to watch.
My name is Martha Lee. I'm the General Superintendent of John Muir National Historic Site, Eugene O'Neill National Historic Site, Rosie the Riveter World War II Homefront National Historical Park, and Port Chicago Naval Magazine National Memorial. Here in Martinez today for Earthday Birthday. My favorite flower would be the California shooting star. I love them. They live in wet, marshy areas, and my favorite place to see shooting stars is up by a little lake in Yosemite National Park called Lucan's Lake, and you have to walk in there a couple miles, and it's certain times of the year just a sea of shooting stars, and it's such a treat because they're only in bloom for such a short period of time and then they're gone.
I'm Kathy Pardick, and I live in Lafayette, California, and
I'm Carol, and I'm from Sacramento, and Kathy and I went to nursing school way back. We've been friends forever.
Yes, and we just want to say a few words about the importance of the environment and outdoors to health, because we're nurses and we've worked in that area all our lives, and it's just so important that people have these open spaces near their homes to go out and hike and be in the outdoors. I think it just renews us in a way that we all need it, children and every age group, and I really appreciate all of the efforts of the people who are here today to make these open spaces available to people.
And I think both for Kathy and I, it's proved true in our families. We raised our children that way. We experienced the outdoors from the get-go, and several of our kids are very involved in environmental projects, land conservancy, maintaining access for everybody, and it's just something you can do through your whole life cycle. You can take your kids when they're babies, and you can do it when you get older, and it's just something that families do, and preserving that open space and having access for everybody is really important. So go hike.
Thank you.
Okay, in Martinez we have beavers, just like we have John Muir. And as John Muir said, everything in the universe is connected. When you have the beavers, and in this day and age, people are looking for absolution. Why are they looking for absolution? Because they feel a disconnect with nature. The beavers in Martinez allow people to connect with nature in the true spirit of John Muir. As Vice Mayor of town, I welcome the beavers, I welcome you, I welcome the whole legacy of John Muir. From the beaver pond and the ripples that go outward across the planet, we're going to bring a new consciousness that John Muir brought, and we're going to protect the environment. It's part of our soul, and we're going to reclaim all that for ourselves, for our kids, for our parents, and for the planet. So on behalf of Earth Day here in Martinez, thanks for viewing this, and thanks for everybody that's come. Namaste.
Martinez, down by the creek. I'm homeless. And the beavers, yeah, I live by the beavers, and yeah, I hope they save the beavers. And I know a lot of people go down there, like this guy Mo, so he watches out for the beavers. So you gotta go a little more.
Alright, question 8. What does the environmental term green mean to you? Well, I think the term green is just like the common signal. You know, you drive down the road, you see the green light, it means go. You want to stay in the right spot, you want to stay in the money, you got to stay in the green. You know, you got to make sure that the plants are healthy, nothing but the natives, get all them outskirt plants from other places out of there, killing all the roots, sucking up all the water. And then it's also about, you know, green means healthy. You got to stay healthy.
Hi, I'm Kylie McDonald. And I'm Lindsay Worth, and so I live in Martinez, and I live in Antioch, and I like recycling because so we don't pollute, like, and I've seen by creeks that a lot of people throw garbage into it, and I feel that it's not right. They should just put it in the recycling bin. And when we're driving, it really pollutes the air, so I think maybe we should stop driving cars and start walking and riding bikes. Hi, I'm Charlotte Golden, and I live in Martinez. I was at the town hall meeting to support the beavers and let them stay. I'm also a junior counselor at the John Muir camp every summer. I've been there since it started, so yeah. I'm Tanzine. I'm Chandri. My name is Chandrika.
And where do you live?
Hercules.
What do you want to say about recycling?
Recycling is important for our environment because it helps all the animals live and it won't help them get extinct.
You want to say something?
Recycling bottles makes fleece for jackets.
Hi there, my name is Charlene Ritchie and I'm from Alberta, Canada. We took our 3 teenage kids out of school for this last year and we're doing a North American tour around Canada, the United States and Mexico. And we're on our last 3 weeks. We've gone to over 50 national park sites. And so my kids have been doing junior ranger programs throughout the United States. They've been going over and over again how not to litter, how not to disturb wildlife, protect the environment, all kinds of different things. And we've just been really having a great year learning how to do that kind of thing. And so I'm really glad you guys are here. This is our first time to this site, and we're looking forward to seeing lots of nature stuff today. So that's it. Thank you very much.
I'm Karen Najarian, and I am a REI Adventures backpacking guide. I live here in Martinez. I take people from all over the country and lead them on 2-night trips in the Yosemite High Country. And what I like to impart to them is a connection to the land, a connection to themselves, and a connection to each other that extends beyond our little group to their hometown, to the country, and to all the nations of the world, and to help them bring that sense of connection back home with them. And I do it by using the land and how we feel when we're in the land. And I at first, before we even start hiking, I have them dig their shoes into the dirt and grow roots into the land, and have the land grow roots into them, and to breathe it in and become part of it all. And from there, we walk up the mountain. We swim, we immerse ourselves into the lakes. We lay out onto the granite to get dry and warm. And at night we do the same thing, only under the stars, in the quiet. And we get a sense of who we are, and not how small we are, but how lucky we are to be a part of something so grand. And that's what I do. Thank you.
I guess the whole the flood control, the Alhambra Creek, the whole marsh thing, it's all, I've been learning a lot about it over like the last couple of years. I've only been here 3 years, Martinez, but from what I've been learning, there's the whole community of Martinez, they have put so much work and time and dedication into just bringing things back to life. And it's just it's a nice town to be in. And you meet people in the process of interacting and carrying that out that just make it all worthwhile. And I guess that would be it.
What's your name?
I'm Jason.
Jason, where do you live?
In Concord.
And what's your name?
Johnny.
Johnny, where do you live?
Concord.
And what do you know about recycling?
That you should keep on recycling.
And why do you want to keep recycling?
Because so they can make it into other stuff.
Good.
Like plastic bottles.
And where did you go today?
The recycling center.
What did you take there?
Cans and bottles and
Good.
stuff.
And what do they make out of the recycled things? You know? No? Okay. What have you done here today at the John Muir house? What did you see?
Walk around and I saw a live snake over there.
Live snake? What kind was it?
A king snake.
Where do they live?
I don't know.
You don't know? They live in California, you think?
Maybe.
Okay. Okay, do you have anything to say? Okay, thank you. What do you feel about recycling?
It's great.
And
More people should do it. It saves the environment. There's not as much material floating around. It saves land from people putting waste inside of it.
Okay. And what's your favorite memory from today? What is the favorite thing you've done here today?
I really like the music. And everybody it's rare to see everybody come together and just enjoy nature and saving it.
My name is Carla Coop, and I live in San Pablo, California. I used to work here in the Alhambra Creek watershed and help start this project, so I'm very pleased to be part of this. And the question that I would like to answer is, what native plant would you like to be and why? And I think that I would like to be a willow if I was a native plant. And the reason I would like to be a willow is because willows are extremely resilient and strong, and they help stabilize our creek banks. They help prevent the soil from washing away into the creek. They help keep the creek water clean for all the fish and the other critters that live in there. They also help provide shade and keep the water cool for the fish and the other critters and even the beavers that are now living in Alhambra Creek. And they also provide habitat for the birds and all the other small mammals that gather in and around the creek. So I think that willows are really an incredible plant, and they're also really easy to grow. You can just cut them up into pieces and stick them in the ground by the creek, and lo and behold, 1 year later you'll have a willow forest. That's why I would like to be a willow plant.
Hi, my name is Elizabeth. I live in Concord, and we should recycle so we can stop pollution, and we could make cereal boxes into magazine holders and old cards into little boxes. And Earth Day is cool because we get to come here to the John Muir house and the Martinez house, and yeah.
My name is Scott Williams, and I live right behind the John Muir house where this is being taped. And I was involved in the original battle for the hills behind all of this property back in I guess it was the early 80s. There was a move to rezone the entire hillside, which would have put 500 to 700 homes between Highway 4 and the water. And one person in town, Sharon Hicks, put up posters on all of the just nearby telephone poles, and a few of us saw that, Barbara Woodburn being one, who's a great gal. My wife and I saw it. We went to the first city council meetings, and a battle ensued that went on for a good 15 years, but at the end of that battle, we've been successful. We have open space surrounding Martinez, or at least on one big side. And the question asked me was, how did we get involved in the coastal cleanup? And in the early, it must have been 1983 or 4, when we were going up in front of the city council asking for money, asking to look toward changing it into parkland as opposed to developing the whole area, because the city council and the planning commission were pretty much set on houses, not open space. And at one of the city council meetings, a council person by the name of Bev McDowell challenged us and said, well, if you guys would just spend as much time cleaning up our marina as you do fighting all these other issues, we might have some progress in this town. Well, that was a challenge, and we took it on, and we began our own coastal cleanups. The first time we just put out flyers all over town, and we got 70 people, I think, the first time. And this was not involved with the state coastal cleanup at the time. This is about 1984 or 5. And we pulled, I think it was 50 tires that first day off the marshes. And we did that for another 2 or 3 years, and finally hooked in with Bill Nichols, the head ranger of the East Bay Regional Parks. And we've been coordinating with him and organizing the coastal cleanup, which at its height drew 650 volunteers one year, when we finally had purchased the land that is actually the scenic drive now, and we cleaned that up. We had a Girl Scout troop carrying entire cars down from the from the ravines up onto the road, and the rangers took them weeks and weeks to get rid of this junk. We filled 16 giant dumpsters that one year alone. So it was massive. But from the very beginning of that effort, that was a challenge, it was a politically motivated and nasty thing somebody said to us. At this point, we're over 900 tires, and, well, this is 25 years later, have come off our marsh, because it used to be like looking at a dump when the tide went out. Now it's looking at beautiful sandbars, and it's really lovely out there. Well, we've destroyed some habitat, because the tires actually are liked by some critters, but it looks much nicer. And so that's how the coastal cleanup began in Martinez. Thanks.
Here we are in Martinez at the John Muir Historical Site, and we're talking about the environment and what would be most valuable. And I vote for solar, for fuel energy. We have one son who has solar panels on his roof for his swimming pool. Sometimes it's rather chilly in May and early June, but we bite the bullet and go in anyway. How about you, David?
Well, I was going to say, I think the most successful alternative for the future will be, I'll get shot for this, nuclear power. I do think that we've missed the boat, that France got way ahead of us and China's ahead of us. They all have nuclear power, and I suspect that will be the largest alternative fuel in the future. Anyhow, we're Barbara and Dave Stiles from San Francisco, and we're glad to talk to you.
What do I think about the way John Muir thinks about the way Martinez is involved? I think he'd be pretty stoked on it. We got some people out here really loving nature. Pretty much going on nature walks every day. Got a good group of people cleaning up the environment. Pretty digging it. Pretty much that's it.
My name is Kayleen Parks. I live here in Martinez. I also teach here in Martinez at our junior high school. And I think what I would talk about is just the type of car I drive, because I drive a 2000 Bug. It got very good gas mileage, which was a huge selling feature at the time, although by the standards of today, not as good as it needs to be. So I definitely think that we need to continue looking for alternative sources of energy. But more importantly, what I'm realizing is that while I'm driving my car and get great gas mileage because I don't drive far, I should be walking instead or riding my bike. So that would be a bit of a goal for me. That's it. Thank you.
My name is Catalina Hetherington. I live in Walnut Creek, and I like to walk to school, and it is fun, and it doesn't waste gas. And push it over.
That's great. That's all you want to say.
And it helps the environment.
How do you do? I'm Ross Hanna. I'm the grandson of John Muir, and I was born and raised up here in Alhambra Valley, about a mile to the south of here. And I have fond memories of growing up there until I was 18 years old. And while I was in high school, there was a family here that sort of was taking care of an old retired musician that played in the New York Philharmonic under Arturo Toscanini. And he'd had a stroke and he was retired, and he helped our school department, our music department in high school, when Alhambra High had a very prominent high school band here. And I had fond memories of taking lessons here in this old adobe where they lived. And Max Nickel was the fellow's name. And I grew up my first 18 years up here in Alhambra Valley. Went to Alhambra High School. And at the present time, my brother John passed away last year at the age of 98, and he was the last of my generation other than myself. So I guess I'm the last one of the grandchildren here. And so I lived here until I was 18 years old, and then I went into the service and on to school.
Okay. Do you have any stories that was told throughout your family about John Muir that kind of stick out in your head, or any like values that were passed down?
Yeah, I tell you the truth, when I was going to school here, a lot of my schoolmates had heard stories from their grandparents and so forth, and some of them were not too complimentary about my grandfather. And so, and the beef they had with him is that he left home occasionally, or not occasionally, quite a bit, to go up into the mountains, and his wife understood what he was trying to do and his overall picture, but a lot of the people here locally didn't, and the fact that he would go away for several weeks or months at a time doing his work in the mountains, they didn't really know, and they didn't have much use for him. So in school, I didn't talk a whole lot about him, and but my family, I grew up, all of his books and stuff were in the bookcases around and so forth, and so they clued me in on the work that he had done and some of the things that he did, and I was very aware of all that until when I went away and then was in the service. I always thought that his fame and so forth was kind of diminishing through the war, because it was about 20 or 30 years after he had passed away. But I was surprised when I came home. I found that his fame was growing all the time, and more people were involved in the environmental things after the war, and every time they talked the environment, why, John Muir's name came up, and so he became more and more famous as it went along. So I kind of grew up with that kind of thing. And then I joined I was asked to join the board of directors here for the John Muir Association in about 1997. And I was kind of flabbergasted when I got there, because everyone on the board knew more about my grandfather than I did. So I had to do a lot of cramming a little bit, and so I did, and learned a lot about him, and I still do. I'm still reading about him, and there's all kinds of books that are being written from time to time, a lot of good ones, and so that's why I'm getting more and more involved and know more about him now than I did when I was growing up around all of his books and everything. But my parents kept me well informed of things. Any other questions?
How old were you when he passed away? Do you remember him?
No.
No, okay.
He was long gone.
He was long gone when you were
he died in 1914, and I was born in 1922.
That's true.
So,
that makes sense. I'm sorry.
So I didn't get a chance to.
You didn't know him as your son-in-law grandfather.
No,
Okay.
I didn't.
That's great.
I regretted that, but
Yeah.
my three older brothers all knew him, but they were very young, with 4, 6, and 8, something like that. And
That's great.
so so I didn't have any physical contact that way with them at all.
Hi, my name is Igor Skardov. I'm with the John Muir Association. I live in Martinez. And from the list of questions we have, I'd like to talk about my favorite native plant. My favorite native plant is called mugwort. It's an herb. It grows about maybe 2 feet high, and its leaves are used for a lot of medicinal purposes. But the thing I like most about mugwort is there's a patent, a U.S. patent out on mugwort, where it can be used as a tobacco-free, nicotine-free cigarette replacement. So if you just got to have your cigarette, make it mugwort.
C.C. Selgren, and I live here in downtown Martinez, and I want to tell a story of a cottonwood tree. And on the January 4, 2008 storm, there was a cottonwood tree down by the train station right next to the Gene Wills Bridge. And about a third of it broke out and fell to the ground. Now I know the maintenance crews here in the city of Martinez, and I had a feeling that the cottonwood tree wasn't long to last. So one evening, I decided to go down there with my son and a tree saw, and I took a big old branch off that cottonwood tree that had fallen down, you know, about 8 feet and maybe that big around, and stuffed it in the back of my truck and headed home with it. Then I asked the boys in my neighborhood, who were all about 6, 8 years old, to dig a hole as deep as they could. They got a few feet deep, and I went ahead and I dug a couple more feet deep myself. And then I went and got a ladder and borrowed a big old 5-pound sledge, and I put that cottonwood tree into the hole, and climbed up on the ladder, and I pounded on that sucker. And then I'd snip off the mast off top, and I'd pound some more. I pounded until there was only about 4 feet above ground. Went ahead and backfilled that thing, and I waited. And I waited a few months, and sure enough, about a month ago, I saw the first little sprouts coming out for the flowers. And now that tree is in full leaf, and I'm really pleased to say that that tree now lives, because of course, you know, the city, they took down, not only ground up the third that fell, they took the whole tree out. And they didn't use any of it to plant stakes on the bank at all. They just ground the whole damn thing up and sent her away. It was just a crying shame. But that tree still lives at 329 Haven Street.
Jacob, and I'm a student of the ESA. My favorite part of Alhambra is the fact that we can go hiking up and down the creek and just enjoy ourselves and do anything we want and just chill and be at peace with nature.
Hi, my name is Ezra Rasmussen, and I'm from the Environmental Studies Academy. And I think my question is going to be, what do you think the most promising alternative fuel is? And I think that it's no fuel at all, and that I think we should just take power right out of the grid and charge up some batteries and run our cars off electricity, because there's multiple ways to get it.
Hello, my name is Jonathan Williams, and I'm from Antioch, California. Today I saw some. Today I enjoyed getting the stamps, and people have been really nice to me. My favorite part when I got my stamp was when I got to go see the electronics. And I also got to see a band play some instruments.
What type of electronics were they? What did you see?
Well...
Were they solar panels?
Yeah.
And what do those do?
Well, I saw one that spun, and there was another one that could heat this water that was coming out of a tube, and well, I don't really think I can remember.
I'm Carol Byer. I live in Martinez. I'd like to speak for the waterfront. If one stands at the train station, the intermodal, one now looks out over Quonset huts. This was historic marsh. I understand from people who've studied the watershed that it was river all the way to the train. cracks. That would be a good, healthy thing for the river and for Martinez to restore it to its marsh.